Are you starting or me?
Apparently you are, because you
Okay.
started talking first.
Hey, welcome. So good to be back.
First time, guys. We just said this off air. If we are on air now,
I don't think so. We're
first
not
time
streaming.
there are 5 screens going for this podcast, maybe ever.
Yeah.
At least since we've used our new platform. But yeah, so welcome everyone. I know Brian just said that, but I wanted to do it better. Welcome, Kansas City Underground Podcast. We are diving back into Hub Stories, right?
Hub Stories. So we are welcoming the crew from Fount. So we've started introducing our Hub teams this year, getting their story, hearing some of their stories that they're telling about their story, understanding how they fit into the larger network of the Kansas City Underground.
I thought you were going to say larger story, which would have been really good because you would have had 3 levels of story. That's right. That's right. You're still new at this.
But we have Amber, we have Jay, we have Lori, 3 of the leaders with Fount. And so let's jump in, y'all. Like, we're a minute in and we're already starting. This says, heads up, Lori's recording has stopped due to an incoming call. That's interesting to know. Do you have an incoming call, Lori?
She's popular, I must tell you.
Sorry, I hit do not disturb.
That's all right. Hey, so the first question we've been asking everybody is, tell us a little bit about how your hub emerged. Like, we want to know the history. Actually, I think the first question that we asked is, who are you?
Who are you people?
So let's do that real quick. I know we didn't prep you for that, but just, 60, 90 seconds. Tell us like who you are. Let's personalize this. We'll start with Lori, and then we'll go to Amber, and then we'll go to Jay.
Cool. Well, thanks. Thanks for having us, guys. It's awesome to be here. Who we are just a group of kind of ragtag people that we came out of a group of like a local church years and years ago. And really, a lot of us were kind of unchurched. So we were kind of figuring out this whole church thing and found each other. We've been discipling, and it's just been a really cool journey. We've watched people just grow up, get married, be baptized, just all the different things, the life stages. So it's been very cool, and we're kind of dynamic in the sense that we have lots of different generations. We've got the 70-year-olds, and then we've got like newborn babies all across the spectrum. So it's kind of cool.
And who are you, Lori?
Yeah. Let's go back to the personal side.
We want to know who you are.
Oh, pardon moi. Sorry.
No, I'm so glad we got to know that as well.
I thought you were asking about Fount. Okay. I'm a mom. My husband and I met in college. We've been married 33 years. So it'll be actually 34 years in June. College sweethearts. We have 2 boys. They're both married to amazing women. Our youngest and his wife live in Austin, Texas. And then my son and his wife live here in Kansas City, and we have 2 granddaughters. So we're just, just loving this stage of life right now. And I get to co-lead our hub with Amber and Jay, just dear friends. And that's just a little snippet of me.
Let me ask you this before you mute again. You've already muted. Do y'all have like specific roles on your hub team? Like, do you carry, or is it like, we're kind of all generalists? Yep.
No.
Yeah, go ahead. What's your specific role then?
Yeah, I mean, we definitely all we lead together, but Amber kind of she's over the children's movement, the children's discipleship. She also does a lot of our communication. She's very very much the liaison between the next generation and us and the older generation. Jay, definitely our equipper. He's equips us in leadership and healthy leadership. Does a lot of the, mobilizing, teaching. He pretty much kind of is I would say if there's a lead among equals, it would probably be Jay. But we all have voice in
Yeah,
decision making.
yeah.
And then with me, I'm probably more over like the prayer, some of the discipleship initiatives, that kind of thing. So we don't really have actual
Well,
titles,
yeah.
which, yeah, so that would probably be our major roles.
Something that we
Trying to-
find across the network. Nobody has a title other than director. It's the most generic title possible. All right, Amber, let's go to the young people in the room.
That's me. Yeah, I'm Amber. I am a wife and a mom of 2 little kids, which hopefully you don't hear them. I stuck them downstairs in the basement with a lot of toys, so if you hear them, they're fine. My husband and I, we moved here about 8 years ago now. He started a business, and I said, I will move anywhere in the world. I'll go overseas. I'll go anywhere. I will not live in Kansas City. And turns out he found an investor here in Kansas City, and this is where God planted us. And I'm so grateful. I don't ever see us leaving here. And it's been great. We found real community, and being far away from a lot of our family, it has helped us to stay here and to be able to thrive. So we love it. We are having full schedules these days, and it's a blast.
Oh, that's awesome. Thanks for giving us a peek in there. All right, Jay, let's go back to the old people. This is a refrain I hit over and over now.
I appreciate that. I've got gray in my beard, so that's no problem. I'm going to own that. Hey, Amber, we have something in common. You said I'll never move to Kansas City. We were relocating from Pennsylvania to Denver. We got gas in Kansas City, and I was like, who in the right mind would live here? Yeah, a decade later, sure enough, here we are. So we've been here for about a decade. I say we, my wife of 30 years. She's amazing. We've got 3 incredible children, a 28-year-old daughter, 26-year-old son, and a 19-year-old son who's in college. So I get to co-labor with these amazing gals. Yeah, it's been really fun. Deep friendship, but also just a deep sense of connection, kind of just become family together. Not just with our 3 families, but I'd say with, our hub in general. And I have to say that the ladies are the ones who have really cultivated that, and several of us guys have been kind of along for the ride, and it's been amazing. So, and that's not token. I mean, it's the real deal in our hub. So,
hey, while you're unmuted, Amber, you can jump back into anything else you'd want to add into the story component of the emergence of the hub.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really good. Yeah, it was during the COVID time. So we were doing traditional model, mega church, if you will, and then to pivot to micro. Actually, it was quite easy in one sense because of COVID. I mean, meeting wasn't happening. So, and we realized maybe how fragile that all was, as opposed to, our approach to life on life and the microchurch meeting in homes, a little bit more anti-fragile, particularly around pandemic times. So that'd be just one piece that I'd add back into our story. Just say, hey, COVID, I don't want to actually say it was a gift, but it was, a season where stuff got to be worked out, some by necessity, and it was helpful for us.
I'm going to let Cory talk eventually, but I just have one more quick question.
I'm enjoying listening. This is good.
This is for Amber. Yeah. We already knew Jay and Lori, so there was a connection, we work in churches in the city and we know each other. We've been in the same rooms. When these friends of ours are coming to you and saying like, hey, we're gonna lock arms with this thing over here called the underground. Like what was happening for y'all? Were you like, oh, this is weird? Or is it like, well, I'm open, but.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. I can't remember my initial response, but I think that a big thing that had happened when I first met Jay and Lori is they brought us to Lori's house, once a week for dinner. This was, gosh, maybe a decade ago. And, we didn't know anybody here, but they kept inviting us over for dinner with a bunch of other young married couples who were around our age, who were starting to have kids. And every week that we met, it just felt like church, but we didn't have the verbiage for that, and so it became a norm for us to have that. And just with the way that I live my life right now, being married to an entrepreneur, when they came and they're like, this is different, this is different, but the way that it's supposed to be, I think my husband and I we were just immediately like, okay, cool. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know that what the past decade has looked like with that microchurch setting in our life, alongside of the other expressions, it's been life-changing. And we'd love to join you. Again, didn't know what it would look like, but we're so happy we did.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That was good. Full transparency, right before we started recording, Brian was talking about the outline, and you all said you knew what some of you guys were going to talk about, and then we started telling a story. Then Brian went to the bathroom, and then to be totally honest, I have no idea who's talking about what, but I know there's some kind of plan. So that's how I feel like that really sums up a lot of, we're talking about our various roles in the underground. I feel like that.
If you want to get a good picture of who we are, we just explained it.
So that sums it up. So part of me just wants to like, hey, those questions that you all know what they are and I don't. I
Who's next? What's your flavor?
I want to say, who's going to share? I'll as you guys are thinking about that. So maybe one of y'all, should we go back to Lori? We're like cycling through, or is that, I'm just gonna throw it back out there and you guys get to decide what's most appropriate as far as the questions that was already asked. But I was gonna say, from my perspective, I knew Jay and a little bit Lori, from some church connections, and it was fun because we were in some ways like such a similar journey and we're like we both, we don't all know where we fit, but we know we're kind of running towards the general same direction. And then there was just a lot of like relationship. We'd like hang out, we'd talk, and it was like eventually some of the language, some of the training, some of the, methodology, some of just all that kind of fit into place as we went. So it was a cool story of like, hey, we think God's leading us all to partnership, but we're just going to,
I guess
start walking in a relationship.
We should have mentioned that Fount is like the second hub.
Yeah. Like, you guys were the original addition, like the second hub. Yeah. But what's the first?
We're still here.
Emerging hub.
Yeah, we're still here.
So Jay. Very worth celebrating. And just what you all individually, but also just what Fount, offers the network is huge. There's a cool prophetic bent that you guys bring. There's a leadership development, leadership health, young families, Lori, and just your heart for prayer, mobilizing prayer. There's just like so much good stuff that you all bring to the network, but I feel like I know more of that than I do of actually what you all do, like with your people in your hub. I know some, but that's just our interaction. All that being said, I just didn't get to talk yet, so I wanted to ramble for a minute or two. And now
it was so well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sure it was. So now we throw back out there whatever you guys think is most appropriate for next. Go. Look at that. That's
well, you already shared our flavor stuff, Cory. So I guess we just go to the last question and then just call it a day.
Off that. We just do some riffing. Yeah.
No, that's fine. Well, one thing I think is important to recognize about Lori, how just at the beginning you'd asked, hey, tell us a little about yourself. She started with the we before she went to the me. And that's really huge about Lori. And I would say that that's pretty significant about like our hub. There's a lot of selfless type folks that high generosity, really want to give their lives away. And I would attest that to just really in tune with Holy Spirit, because that's what Holy Spirit leads us to do. And again, testament to some of the flavor stuff you were talking about with the prophetic and prayer and leadership health. We'll come back to that, but I'd love to hear a little bit from Lori on that.
Yeah, it's interesting. We started with this when we launched Fount. We had been on this probably couple-year journey of really just listening to God, trying to figure out does he really speak to us? The whole kind of, if you will, prophetic. But everybody was so hungry for that. And, we had these early 20-year-olds, and they're really growing in their faith, and they're starting to hear from God. They're starting to pray. And I think it just became so much of who we were, or who we are, that when, to your question, or to your point, Cory, when this transition of KC Underground came about, it was such an easy transition because people were praying about it. Like it just felt so natural to step into what the underground was all about, because it aligned with all of our visions and values, and we really all basically heard from the Lord, like, yes, this is what you've been doing, but now there's this network that's bringing structure and strategy and language to what was already happening, and the Lord went before us, so, which was so cool. So um to talk, just kind of to intertwine the prayer and prophetic and Cory's question, I really, that I think that's something that's a unique flavor. Not to, I'm sure all of the hubs are and churches are like this, but I think with our folks, they won't really necessarily do anything before they hear the prompting of God. So it's pretty cool,
That's
and they
good.
have a heart to pray. So they're praying for the leaders in the network, which is cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
So good. Oh man. So
As
good.
another leader in the network, I'm
Yeah,
appreciative of
so
that.
good. Yeah. Again, from my perspective here and being around you all, like I, so often talk about these like three dimensions of the gospel: word, power, deed. And I feel like a lot of us in different church backgrounds, we might, like if we're, a lot of us from evangelical backgrounds, we might know a lot of word and almost no power. Maybe like some social justice type of churches, we do a lot of deed, but maybe not as much word or power. There's maybe charismatic churches, a lot of power, but maybe lack some of that others. I feel like you all have really helped set the stage for that beautiful, where all three of those, circles overlap.
Yeah.
Is word, power, deed. Model it for us. Also modeling it like from the harvest in a sense. I mean, you guys, like what you said earlier, Lori, I mean, a lot of people like not overly quote unquote churched. A lot of people young people coming to Jesus together in your early days of that, forming this hub. So I just want to, it's recognized, it's felt, it's beautiful. So that's, again, just wanted to voice that from my perspective. And then, throw it back out to you guys.
Yeah. What else? How far do you want to go on that, Jay?
Yeah, I do love the reflections. It's encouraging because I think for our folks, if you were to ask them, they may not know how to put language to it, because it's just like this embodied sense of, well, we talk to Jesus, he talks back to us. We try to get with people who don't know Jesus, and then we love our Jesus friends, and everything in between. Like there is a sense of those three things you were talking about, word, power, and deed, that our folks have maybe naturally been living out. I think with the Kansas City Underground partnership and being part of the network helped us get some language, some structure, just some healthy things that way. That was like, oh, okay, this is that, or oh wow, we're missing that. We need this.
Cool.
Yeah, it's been a great journey that way.
That's good. Yeah. Well, let's do some stories. I want to hear some stories. Like, what are you telling right now that's like bringing you joy, bringing you clarity for vision? This is who we are. Yeah.
I'll take this one. So over the past decade, I think we've come to realize like one of the best parts of being in the kingdom of God is exactly what you're talking about, like seeing that joy and seeing God move, because he always is. And we've found so many ways to celebrate. A few of them are just the increase of those who normally wouldn't step foot inside of a church building are now and have been regularly showing up to microchurches, whether it's inside of houses, coffee shops. We have a bar where they meet in, and it's neighbors, businessmen, and even those that have like some debilitating social anxiety. It offers a space where they can come in and be fed the gospel and contribute in a way that they couldn't before or wouldn't have even explored. Another one is last year we celebrated 2024, I think, with 9 baptisms. So huge, like really exciting. And looking forward over the next few months, we've got more scheduled and hopefully more beyond that. We still got 11 months left in the year. So super exciting. And then even down to really small changes that make a huge impact. But a couple families have come forward in the last month and just shared how they have begun to play worship music in their house and in their cars. And I think it's huge. It's huge. And then last one, we're just celebrating a month we're celebrating a year of moms getting together every single Monday for a Bible study with our older generation. And the older generation, they take over all the kids and they take them in the basement or outside and they lead the kids in a little Bible study and an activity, and the moms are inside doing a Bible study and praying. So that's been also a pretty huge thing to celebrate, just to see like, oh, there is repetition. Every week is a lot on top of, everything else in life, but everybody's making an effort to carve out that time and impact their families that way. I could definitely take over this whole podcast with more and more stories, but I'll just leave it there.
Okay, because most of my response would be, okay.
Yeah.
No,
I also want to recognize probably how hard it is for you to keep telling those stories with your kids in the background.
Screaming. That's the same.
It doesn't bother us.
Did you hear that?
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't bother us at all. It's more of the like,
right.
I know you're as the mom going oh no. And we're like, the kids are here. It has started.
And just on cue, one has come up.
That's the way to do it.
Thanks for the grace on that.
Oh man, we had an equipping gathering in our space where we're recording right now. We had a gathering last night, and the kids in the back room were just like going all out, just 100% being kids. And somebody was talking on the other end of the room, and I was like, I can't really hear. And so like when I had to stand up and do this little equipping part, I was like, hey, so if Jesus were here tonight, he definitely would be in that room, not this one. So talk louder if you're on that end of the room.
Yeah, that's good, man. That's real good.
I love to hear just, the interplay like this. Sometimes I love let me say it this way. I love the diversity of our hubs. Like some of our hub teams, there is a sense of like, there's these microchurches, they're running after what they're running after in their context, and they get together, like once a month. And then there's other hub teams, like we interviewed Rock Island, where it's like, we've got a weekly gathering on Sunday mornings. This is a very centralized sort of space for our disciple-making leaders to gather, and then we're all running after mission. But like, there's a space, and we've got a rhythm of what we do in that space. And then like what I feel like I'm picking up from Fount is like there's another sort of flavor of this big integrated family where there are multiple microchurches, but there's still like a family of families within this bigger family of the underground. So I just wanted to highlight that to say we don't have like a way.
Yeah.
Every hub, we're committed to equipping, coaching, convening. But the way that's expressed, even in the stories that we've heard so far, is just different. And it's rich. Were you going to say something else?
I'm just agreeing.
Oh. Like you did this contemplative look.
Well, I'm thinking, because I actually I did a training for a lot of teams throughout the country and internationally as well, just talking about hubs. And I'm using a lot of examples of our various hubs in Kansas City and just like starting point and rhythms. And it's fascinating to me because there is so much similarities from hub to hub, right? We're getting that, but there is a lot of difference, and so and I don't know if all of us have like, here are the rhythms that we'll always have, or these rhythms are perfect and we'll never adjust them. I feel like we're all figuring that out. But you guys do like, it sounds like your rhythms are unique. I mean, maybe is it worth unpacking a little bit more of like some of the rhythms that you have? Because we heard about this monthly thing where like, so is that moms get to hang out?
That's weekly.
That's weekly. That was weekly.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, what are the like general hub rhythms that you all have?
Oh, we told them we'd call on somebody. Amber unmuted, so
I'll do it. So yes, our moms, we have that meet once a week, and that's on a Monday. And then we also have taken the moms were like curious on ways that they could invite other moms in to something that maybe isn't so structured, and or just women in general, maybe not moms. And so about a year and a half ago, someone started what we call Wild Women Wednesdays, and one Wednesday a month.
shut up.
You can come. It's once a month. Someone will host, and they will teach all the women a skill, or we'll do some sort of theme, have a game night. You know, somebody taught us how to do sourdough. We did candle making, just like a space where you can pretty much invite anybody into, but just to get a taste of that. And then we have equipping gatherings. Excuse me. We have equipping gatherings that we have every other Sunday. And then those off weeks, I think we have a better term for it, but the off weeks that we don't have those, it just offers a space for everybody to have their microchurch. And a lot of them choose Sunday, but some Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, all different nights.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even inside of that, you know, we have prayer meetings every Tuesday morning and Sunday morning. Lori, what else am I missing, Lori?
And those are for disciple makers all throughout your hub, right? So all these rhythms open to, man, let's go. Is the time with the moms like the wild women of underground? I don't know.
I don't think let's let that one go,
Okay,
Corey. That's their deal. Let it go.
I'm saying is that a missional? That's a mission space to inviting people, or is that like a lot of disciple make or both?
That's both.
Okay,
Yeah.
you're all nodding when I say mission space because that's such a cool access ministry.
Yeah.
Like I'm just saying, you're providing belonging, a felt need for like. I mean, that's a kind of a lonely time.
Yeah.
Moms, like we have some other like young moms where you're just like constantly exhausted and feel, you know, like we had another mom on the network who used kind of a social app to find other moms, and they would do kind of a weekly DBS, you know. So I just like, but that whole idea of like teaching one another cool, like that's such a cool idea for more relationships. So well done. So anyone listening to these, it's like, steal or adapt ideas. I mean, you know, that's why it's like why we share some of these stories. So like there can be light bulb moments in like your context, like, oh, I could do something like that.
Yep.
But yeah, sorry, Lori, jump back in. I interrupted you.
Oh no, I was just going to say, yes, it is. It's more of an opportunity, like an outreach. So if somebody has a sister that, you know, isn't connected in community or whatever, or a neighbor or whatever, it's very low pressure. Just come and eat and drink and have fun and meet new people. And it's very I don't want to use the word, it's not the word seeker, but it's just very comfortable for anyone to be involved. But the other thing we didn't mention is we have these things called, and you guys are familiar, but I don't know if your listeners are familiar with these Hesed groups. And so we do have several of those that meet each week, which just really helps like in the attachment with, you know, to go a little bit deeper. And so we found that has really catapulted a lot of spiritual growth in our community, which has been really cool. So we are a tight-knit community, but when you get to that level of like the healing and the attachment, and I mean, it takes really everything to a different, you know, to a higher level. So that's been helpful for us too. Anything else, Jay?
No, maybe just to find in that Hesed group, it's like a 3 to 5 space. So kind of like a micro group, guys with guys, gals with gals. So we've got probably 4 or 5 of those, 2 of the gals, 2 of the guys that meet on a weekly basis. And so I know Cory and Brian, you guys are familiar with those spaces, but it's been pretty profound. Talk about an access point. One of the guys that was in my group was didn't know Jesus, and it was a real easy space for him to belong and get a sense of attachment as he was discovering who Jesus was. Came to faith in recent months, but so even those spaces, they're anybody can jump in the way we've designed it. So it's really fun.
I love that, man. It's so good. Well, I love it. I just love hearing stories. I know it's, we got things to go to. We got places. We got, kids to parent right now, so we can't stay here all day. But I don't know if there's any. Brian's about to talk. I was gonna say if there's any kind of last hey, we didn't get to say this, but this is really important to us, or this is part of who we are, or what we do, or another quick story. I wanted to just kind of throw that out there, and then I'll let Brian close.
Well, I'm going to let y'all close, just like what he said, but also, a word over the network, anything that's and we just want to speak this back into the underground. We always say, we know there's a lot of people that listen, but, and Laura, you don't have to call it our podcast, or it's ours. Yeah. It's just as much yours. But, the Kansas City people are our people, and that's who we think about first. So, yeah, anything that also pops up where you're like, yeah, I feel like the Spirit's prompted me to speak this over the network. We're here for it. And then Cory will say, all right, bye. And then we'll hang up. I'm gonna give you a second. I'm just gonna, it's like that prayer moment where I don't think anybody else is going to. All right, amen.
Well, I'll jump in really quickly. I can't thank you guys enough, honestly. I mean, just even your comment, Brian, Lori, it's not ours. That you guys, from the moment that we said yes, let's do this together, you have made all your resources accessible to us. You've coached, you've helped. It made us be able to really focus on the discipleship piece when we were launching our hub, versus having to figure out all the legalities and yada yada yada. And so it just you took that burden off, and we were able just to invest in people and discipleship. And so you guys have been like that from the get-go, and so just so appreciate. We know your heart for Kansas City and beyond, and just truly, you guys are partners, and we love you, and just thank you so much for everything that you do over and above for all of us.
Thanks for saying that.
Yeah,
good stuff.
Big family.
Well, we love you too. You guys are a family. Your hub is a family of families. You're part of a.
Don't shut them off. Amber and Jay might have something.
Oh, I'm just saying. You told me I'm supposed to click and say amen. Okay.
No, I wanted to give Amber and Jay a second.
We've got to talk about some things.
We got to work.
We got our own family things. What else? Yeah.
Amber and Jay, is there any? They're like, no, you guys
made it up.
Yeah, I don't feel like I'm allowed, Cory. I don't know what to do here. Just totally kidding. That's not how we roll. I feel total permission. It may seem ill-fitting, but it's not. The thing that comes to my mind is the priority of the person of peace, of really finding or discerning, who is it that God wants us to kind of settle up alongside of and learn from and engage with. That's been huge for us to keep kind of the family dynamic, which means I'm going to find the person of unpeace, which also gives me permission not to maybe engage with that, because that could be harmful for them or for us. So we're just really trying to discern where is the readiness and follow the grace in that with God. So it may feel a bit restrictive, but actually it's allowed us to have I think a higher level of harmony within our extended family, and then take some of the striving out where the responsibility is, okay, God, where are you at work? We'll partner there. And then the places that's not happening, we're okay with that. So it goes kind of at that speed of relationship, but really along the lines of finding the person of peace. And I think that's been huge for us to say, hey, that is a conviction of value. We're going to hold on that. And it's really served us well.
Thanks. So good.
Yeah, I would just add to that. Thank you. I think having the perspective of inside my home, watching my husband build a business, being an entrepreneur, the startup, that is what you guys have stepped into. And I know the level of difficulty and the amount of discipline, and it is its own kind of wilderness. And I think we've just seen how many people are impacted by that. It's huge. And so we are super grateful for everything that you guys have done and that your families have supported you guys to do. It's really cool. And yeah, we're grateful. So thank you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, now you can wrap it up.
That's so good. That's so good. So, really appreciative. Yeah, I mean, just as listeners are hearing these dynamics, I mean, we see this network grow in various ways. I mean, you're seeing new believers coming from the harvest, new expressions of church. You're seeing, like, we call them sometimes leaders of peace. We're connecting with different leaders who already are running this way. This was you guys, right? You're already doing this kind of stuff. Let's run together and get some commonality as we go. And then one funny story as we close with this, like, a couple of years ago, I was supposed to do a training in the city. There's a bunch of city leaders I don't even remember exactly what it was. I kind of do, but I'm not going to call anyone out. And so there's a bunch of teams coming, like, in churches and ministries all over the city. And I was supposed to do a little bit of something on missionary pathway, like our disciple making training. And then we got some times wrong. It actually wasn't my fault. Usually it is.
Usually it is.
So
yeah.
then, so I was actually originally it was going to be Rob. Rob asked me to do it. We got a time wrong. We had somebody else. I think Morgan was going to show up. And then we find out Jay is there. And so Jay literally, like,
I got a text that morning. Can you go down and do this?
Like, no. So Jay literally, with zero prep, just stands in front of all these leaders, gives this missionary pathway training. Apparently it hit so well. We actually have an emerging hub and a bunch of team kind of in the southeast part of the city. And Kyle tells the story of, like, I went to this thing and I heard Jay talk about missionary pathway. So it's like, and I just remember I was like texting, like, man, we just have a deep team. We got teams of teams all over the city, and it's like, that is so fun. There's just another crazy high level leader or trainer or communicator or lover of people that happen to be there already. I just love that as we grow and we multiply and kind of underground seeping throughout the city, there's, God's using people in all parts of it.
So Cory, the other side of that is Lori was there as well, and they were picking on her, and she came running up to me. You got to come. You got to do this training. I'm not going to do this training. It's like, okay, I came in, and they introduced me as I'm walking in. Here's our speaker for this, that, and the other thing. And he said, okay. And he started walking out of the room, and I said to the guy, I said, hey, I just 2 questions real quick. What's my topic? And how much time do I have?
That's fantastic.
Listening to this, just an anxiety attack about that.
I'll wrap us up with this one comment, though, just to, like, synthesize what he just said. That's the importance of simple, reproducible, scalable. That's what we're trying to do in this city, and that's why we're doing these conversations with hub teams to go, like, if you're thinking about movement, you gotta structure for it, and you have to let people go run wild in that structure.
Yeah. Wow, way to tie that into a key pillar.
And now there's wild women doing it. So, all right, y'all. So good to hang. We'll have you back on so you can be regular contributors.
There you go.
Bye.
Much love. Thanks, guys.